Rachel, this is the 7th year of the Alderney Literary Festival, and if you ignore the two that were lost for COVID, why has it been so successful?
I think the authors really love this festival because there's a unique family atmosphere. They get to meet with each other, they get to meet with the audience, and the audience loves it because it's very focused. So when they know it's all about historical fact and fiction, and they can come for the whole weekend and know the quality of the events is going to be really good. And we've been very lucky to get some excellent sponsors, which has helped us enormously to move the event forward.
Rachel, you are a successful author in your own right. How does the Alderney Literary Festival compare with other literary festivals?
It's very different. A lot of literary festivals are spread out over a very wide space in whichever venue you're in, so you may, as an author, you may never meet another author whilst you're there. You don't get to interact with the audience, and it's much friendlier, much closer than any that I've been to.
What attracted you to come to the Alderney Literary Festival?
Well, when I had the invitation, I thought, well, what's not to like? I've never been to Alderney. I've been to Jersey once. So that's my only visit so far to the Channel Islands. And I thought, an island, I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I thought, this sounds magical. And we receive splendid hospitality here, and I feel we're in a very, very privileged position, in a way, to be asked to come here. And it's such an interesting festival too, not just the authors who've been invited, but also the members of the public who come up and talk to you, and it's constantly interesting.
So my book Dancing for Stalin tells the story of 5 years in the life of Nina Anisimova, who was a very well-known dancer during the Stalin period, and she got arrested during the Stalinist Great Terror of 1937-38. When basically the Soviet regime made a plan for arrests and numbers, targets had to be fulfilled. So there were a lot of innocent people arrested across the Soviet Union. She was one of them because there was an admirer of the ballet who was working for the for the German consulate in Leningrad. So there were a couple of dancers who were arrested as Nazi spies, which of course they weren't. Some were shot. She was lucky. In the sense that she survived, but she was sent to a labor camp in Kazakhstan. But the story, it's a real-life story, but with a very film-like Hollywood twist, because she had a lover who was also a man of the theater, who decided to take on the Soviet secret police and to protest that she was innocent, which was a completely suicidal mission. But he had good historical timing, and it worked out. She got freed, she got out of the labor camp, the couple was reunited.
This island is inexorably linked to the Nazi war effort. What's your reaction to the island?
Well, I've been walking around it today in glorious sunshine and seen an enormous amount of evidence from the wartime, and it's rather chilling because, of course, I've always been in England where where we weren't invaded, so to come to a bit of British soil and see this very forceful presence is really extraordinary.
Oh, there are so many attractions of this wonderful literary festival, and I must say a big thanks. To be invited twice is the greatest compliment an author can have, and I'm talking about two very different books. I'm here this week to talk about Ethel Rosenberg, and I am thrilled and really privileged to be able to tell this story of an ordinary, unassuming New York housewife who was electrocuted 70 years ago this year. So the anniversary is really resonant, as I'm going to be discussing in my talk. And I just feel it's a wonderful opportunity to talk at a small literary festival where you really feel the audience cares. They're here because they care about books and literature. And so it's just a lovely feeling.
This is, I believe, your first Alderney Literary Festival. What's your impression?
It's been amazing, really, really fun, lots of really interesting events, and the organisation is absolutely fantastic. And it's really nice to come to a festival where you get to meet a lot of the other authors and also the people who are organising it, the people who are coming to the event, so it feels like just a really fun and good thing to be part of.
How does the Alderney Literary Festival compare with other literary festivals you've attended?
They're all so different. Most of them are absolutely amazing. The amount of effort that goes on behind the scenes, a lot of it obviously unpaid for, is really incredible. So I just full of admiration for the people who put these festivals together. But this one definitely feels like a very special one, and it's really nice just to be able to spend a few days in the island, soak up the atmosphere, and see a bit of the island as well.
It's been lovely so far. I'm really loving it. It's quite unique, I think, Alderney, in that it's a combination of historians and fiction writers, which, is kind of, I was saying to my partner before getting over here, sort of, oh, there's an Egyptologist, and there's all these people with all these amazing PhDs, and he was like, and you're just a little idiot, in a nice way, which is kind of, how you feel as sort of the fiction writer at this sort of place where these people have these incredible sort of academic qualifications and practices, but some really fascinating talks I've been to and some more happening later I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, it's just been great, and the weather is gorgeous, so that's an advantage as well.
The organiser of the Alderney Literary Festival is an Egyptologist herself. I don't suppose that has got anything to do with you being here, is that?
She's not just an Egyptologist, she also studied at the University of Birmingham, where I also studied, and those several years apart, we also had the same tutor. So it's wonderful actually to be sort of reunited with the alumni family of the University of Birmingham as well. I'm sure it might have had something to do with it.
Excellent. Tell me, this is your first Alderney Literary Festival. What do you think of it?
It's my first literary festival, full stop. And I have to say, it's the best event, the best organised event I've ever been to in my whole life. It's absolutely phenomenal. Walking down the high street this morning with everybody saying good morning, the wonderful weather, which I think I might have brought back from Cairo myself. I'm just astonished. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and it's been great to meet everybody here on the island, to hear the insightful questions that everybody's had in the presentations this morning. I can't wait to hopefully get some insightful questions myself.
So what kind of character was Joan of Arc?
She was extraordinary. She was a 17-year-old girl from a small village in the east of France who believed she'd been sent by God. And I think the thing that comes through again and again and again is quite how much courage, quite how much charisma, quite how much conviction she had in her cause. The story isn't quite as straightforward as the myth makes it out to be, but it's fascinating, she's fascinating, and there's a reason why she's one of the most famous figures in world history.
It's just a wonderful festival. Alderney is extraordinary. It's such a beautiful island. I was able to go and have a run around this morning in beautiful early sunshine. So it's my first time on Alderney. And this festival is really something special. It's so beautifully curated, and I would say we authors, we're not just looked after, we're sort of cherished, which is a great thing for an author. It's not what always happens. So yeah, we're all loving it and loving hearing each other speak, because it's like I'm like a child with a train set. I love history and I love historical fiction, and to be surrounded by other writers is just a treat. Yeah.
We look forward to seeing you back here in Alderney again soon. Thank you
love
very
that.
much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Jackie, I know you live in the UK now, but I believe you come from Guernsey. Is that where the inspiration for your book came from?
Yes, that's right. I grew up on Guernsey, and so I grew up with stories of the occupation that were passed down from my grandparents and my great-grandparents. So that definitely fueled my interest in that period and the subject matter for the French House.
Briefly, what is your book about?
So the French House is set on occupied Guernsey in World War II, and it's about two estranged lovers, Emile, who has lost his hearing, and Isabelle, and they're both trapped in unhappy marriages. And it's about how their lives entwine with that of a German censor, the press censor, Lieutenant Schreiber, and the consequences of that relationship between the three characters.
What's the attraction of the Alderney Literary Festival?
Well, I mean, first of all, books. It's been a passion of mine for many, many years, and I haven't had enough time when I was in the States in Jersey to be able to read. But of course, I'm an avid reader, And of course, what you have is a small festival, small number of people. It's very, very friendly. They get some great authors, and you can really sort of get underneath the books. And, you know, despite me saying I'm not going to buy any, I always go back with a pile of them.
Martin, what inspired you to sponsor the Alderney Literary Festival when you come from a different island with its own literary festival?
Well, it's a curious mixture, really, because we've sponsored various things in Alderney over the past 2 or 3 years, and in fact we sponsor things right the way through the Channel Islands. But this holds a particular resonance because it reminds me very much of the very beginnings of the Guernsey Literary Festival. So it's got a unique atmosphere of its own. It's not too big, it's niche, it's got some fantastic authors, and very enjoyable so far.
Tony, how successful has this year's Alderney Literary Festival been?
The festival has been every bit as good as every festival we've run before, if not a little bit better. We've had an amazing eclectic range of authors, but as ever, the real star of the festival has been the island, because that's what brings authors to this festival and it's what brings them back again.
Tony, this is your 3rd year as chairman. Have you seen any changes during your time in office?
I think every festival every year gets just a little bit stronger. The organisation gets better, the cast list gets just that tiny bit more interesting, and every year the bar raises just a little bit.
You mentioned Alderney as being an attraction. What is it that attracts all these very well-known authors to this small island?
It's word of mouth. It gets around. An author said to me earlier on today that he got the invitation, he asked a colleague that he knew had been to a previous festival, should he go? And the unequivocal answer was, absolutely, because this is a festival like no other.
Tony, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.